So Kevin from Pure Bullfit actually saw both of my videos, and I'm actually really kind of surprised, as I know Kevin from Pure Bullfit is a pretty busy man right now, as I know he mentioned in a previous video that he's planning for a wedding and all that stuff. So I really appreciate him and Kevin actually engaging in the comment sections and everything. So really appreciate all that stuff, as it seems like this is a subject that he's wanting to know more about, or at least leaving it open for discussion, which I actually really appreciate. And by the way, congrats to Kevin and the lovely bride-to-be. Oh no. Cheers. Oh God, I haven't done that forever. To new beginnings. I was married once too. 9.5 years, if you can believe it. Yeah, it didn't work out though. Shit happens. All right, let's get the video started. I'm sure he has all sorts of crazy things he has to deal with in his regular day-to-day life, so I appreciate the fact that Kevin from Pure Bullfit is actually not closing himself off to this subject, as he seems to recognize this is a topic worthy of discussion. Which, by the way, I'm no guru, if there ever was such a thing. I just read a whole bunch of science from both sides of the spectrum in regards to the health impacts of not following a plant-based diet or whole foods plant-based diet, and I quickly realized one side was severely full of shit. I've also seen enough slaughterhouse footage to make me want to take a rocket launcher to the meat section of any supermarket, not to hurt anyone necessarily, but to simply be done with this horrific industry that is needlessly killing animals, getting people sick, and destroying the planet in the process. So let's begin with the fact that it is very common in today's day and age to subscribe to a typical diet that is high in animal products because that's what we've been told to eat. I'm not saying that's your fault. I'm just warning you that you've been misled, and I'm going to prove it to you through science. If you were born in the 80s or maybe even in the early 90s, then you'd probably be familiar with the food pyramid. The food pyramid was designed to give people some type of guidance as to what they should eat to sustain a healthy lifestyle. Now, I'm not saying that people followed the food pyramid to a T, because no one ever followed that shit to a T. All I'm saying is that it gave people some type of guidance. So they would it was kind of used as a reference. That's why people can try to justify eating animal products or eating dairy or eating oils or things of that nature, because they think it's healthy because look, it's in the food pyramid. If you notice, the top 4 layers of the pyramid are just despicable. So we're going to be covering the middle 3 layers of this food pyramid, as this is the majority of what healthy people eat today. We're not going to cover the very tip of this food pyramid because it's junk food, and I don't even really understand why they put that in there. So we're just not even going to cover that. Which, by the way, also, I'm not saying that people who happen to be in a healthier state don't eat their fruits and veggies, but if you were to look at the majority of what typical healthy athletic people eat in regards to the caloric intake, you'll see that most of these people get the bulk of their calories from these 3 middle tier layers, or at least a good chunk of their calories. If you don't believe me, then look no further than the Athlean X approved hard gainer meal plan for Antonio Brown, a client of Jeff Cavaliere. I'm not saying I have an issue with Jeff Cavaliere, but he should just stick to talking about training, as his advice in regards to nutrition is one step above soupy diarrhea dog shit, which I would equate to just being plain dog shit. That's right. The hard gainer meal plan Jeff Cavaliere provides and the regular meal plans he provides are straight dog shit. I've already made a previous video on this topic where I completely break down why you should not follow this horribly filled bro science meal plan, and I even provide you with an actual meal plan for hard gainers that is not going to skyrocket your cholesterol levels or keep your body in a state of constantly fighting off inflammation. Link is up above if you're interested. Either way, I'll show you why not to follow a typical animal flesh or secretion diet as we get through each of the middle tier layers of the outdated pyramid that has molded society's perception of what is considered healthy for people to consume today. The tragedy starts at the third layer, which happens to be where the dairy products lay. Dairy is absolutely garbage for humans to consume, as it's loaded with IGF-1, estrogen, saturated fat, trace amounts of trans fat, cholesterol, and animal proteins. But if you ask this genius here, dairy is amazing because casein and whey and bro science. IGF-1 and insulin are anabolic hormones that promote growth, which one might think is great for making them gains.
Not exactly.
Ingesting IGF-1 raises serum IGF-1 levels, which is associated with promoting colon, endometrium, breast, and prostate tumor growth. So essentially, raising your IGF-1 levels potentially increases your chances of acquiring cancer. I don't think that's the main goal when trying to follow a healthy eating pattern. Dairy also has estrogen. Consuming dairy will raise serum estrogen levels and plummet testosterone levels in men. If we could just use a little common sense here, taking any type of exogenous hormones probably isn't really good if it's causing estrogenic hormones to go up and testosterone levels to plummet in a person's body, specifically males. But that's just my opinion. I don't see any further need to explain why these effects are adverse to human health. Moving on to the saturated fat, trans fat, and cholesterol, the upper tolerable limit for all three of these substances is set to 0 because any consumption above 0 raises LDL concentration levels. So it would probably be within the best interest of someone to limit or eliminate these three substances to avoid raising their cholesterol levels, but unfortunately dairy has all three of these substances, but it is mainly loaded with saturated fat and cholesterol. It's not a good idea to consume any of these substances as they all raise serum LDL cholesterol levels. Prolonged heightened LDL cholesterol levels promotes atherosclerosis. Any LDL cholesterol levels above 70 milligrams per deciliter puts someone at risk of promoting atherosclerosis at a more aggressive rate than what is considered optimal, where atherosclerosis does not occur. Atherosclerosis is what causes heart disease and cerebral disease and limp discs, for what it's worth. Heart attacks and strokes happen to be the #1 and #2 killers around the globe, and by essentially advising people to eat more foods loaded with these substances today is either incredibly immoral or just plain stupid. Lastly, we've got that glorious animal protein that everyone loves to talk about. So let's talk about them. So animal flesh and animal secretions are loaded with protein. Not gonna deny that, that's a fact. But they're also loaded with methionine and leucine, and those two amino acids are unfortunately two of the essential amino acids that are quite high in dairy products that you may want to consume less of due to their abilities to promote cancer and activate certain aging pathways. Can you guess what foods are low in these essential amino acids that can be damaging if you consume them in excess? That's right. So that about covers the third layer of the food pyramid. And if we move on to the fourth layer of the food pyramid, this is what some people may call the protein layer of the pyramid, as meat, poultry, fish, eggs, beans, and nuts are mentioned here. Don't have much of any issues with beans at all, but nuts can be a problem if you have a weight issue or are not consuming enough omega-3 rich foods, as typically nuts are higher in omega-6 fats, which could throw off your omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, which can inhibit your production of DHA, EPA fatty acids. So it's probably best to not go crazy with the nuts. So obviously the biggest issue with this layer is the animal flesh and chicken periods listed. All the animal flesh and chicken periods listed in this layer have saturated fat, trans fat, and cholesterol. I've already explained why these substances are not healthy for human consumption, so no need to go over it again. These dead animal parts don't have the estrogenic load that dairy has, but they have an abundance of heterocyclic amines if you cook the flesh or chicken periods, which are mutagenic in nature and only increases your risk of developing cancer. And just to cover fish real quick, as people seem to think that this is a healthy type of flesh to eat, but in short, no, the flesh of a fish is not healthy for human consumption. Not only does fish, specifically salmon, have saturated fat and cholesterol, it's also very acidic to the body, which can be very damaging to the kidneys and lower bone density mass and muscle mass. And as an added bonus, it contains heavy metal toxins thanks to us humans destroying the oceans and waterways. Having an acid-based diet is horrible for the kidneys and actually has deleterious effects on muscle mass and bone density if your kidneys are not functioning accordingly. Can you guess what foods are most acidic? Cheese, all animal flesh to include fish, processed junk foods like white pasta, white bread, and eggs. Essentially all the foods listed in the middle tier of the food pyramid. So then we get to the second to last tier of the food pyramid, the oils and spreads. I'm gonna keep this nice and short. Butter is just more cow secretions in just a concentrated form that is not healthy, based pretty much on all the reasons as to why dairy is not healthy. And oils are simply not healthy either. They're loaded with too many omega-6 fats and have pretty much been stripped of all their fiber and antioxidants and phytonutrients, and when cooked at high temperatures, they can cause free radical damage in your body. Until this day, you'll still hear gym bros and people, just regular people on the street, just think that oil is healthy, like olive oil and like coconut oil and avocado oil. No, all these oils are bad for you, specifically coconut oil, which is loaded with saturated fat. And the other oils are just usually high in omega-6 polyunsaturated fats. I mean, I could make a whole video as to why oils are not healthy, but this video is already getting long enough, so let's just move forward. So that's the old, outdated food pyramid that the USDA has gotten rid of and is now advising people to follow the dietary patterns that resemble the MyPlate diagram. Now, the MyPlate diagram is a much better improvement from the old, outdated food pyramid, but there is that one major discrepancy of dairy as a drink on the side there, which I'm guessing is supposed to be cow's milk, whatever. Regardless, it seems like those dairy industry lobbies had enough money to sway the USDA in their favor, but no worries, the science is out and the 2020 dietary guidelines will be coming very soon. If you also take notice, there is simply a protein section on the MyPlate diagram, and any type of specific protein-rich foods are not specified. This is probably because there is no evidence to show that consuming protein-rich foods that are sourced from animal flesh or animal secretions shows any type of beneficial effect over protein-dense plant foods. If anything, those animal secretions and animal flesh are actually harmful for humans to consume. So eating animal foods is not healthy as shown and aren't necessary as deemed by the Academy of Nutrition Dietetics. So let's wrap up. Do animal foods have nutrients? Yeah. Do they have calories? Hell yeah. Do they have antioxidants and phytonutrients? Nah. How about any fiber? Nah. How about substances that promote chronic disease? God, yeah. Yeah, shit. Damn it. Yeah. So if animal foods are not necessary, they're not healthy for human consumption, and they destroy our planet, then why are you still eating them? Before you say these are simply my opinions and choose to cast everything off based on the subjectivity of morality, I ask that you please reassess what you're contemplating, as I assure you that you and I are not so different in terms of morality. I just showed you that eating animals is not necessary and it's not healthy, so what purpose would one have to continue to eat animals and what they secrete? Anyone watching this can't say it's from a lack of awareness or information on the subject. So is it because of taste, tradition, convenience, maybe even habits? If that's the case, then just please ask yourself, is any excuse you put forth, whether it be for the pleasure of taste, convenience, or tradition, worth the life of another sentient being? Is taste, pleasure, convenience, and tradition worth the destruction of our planet? Is taste, pleasure, convenience, and tradition worth the destruction of your health and the health of the ones closest to you? If you believe it is worth it, then every animal abuser, to include Michael Vick, is innocent from your perspective. Hold on a sec, but Michael Vick was illegally fighting dogs and abusing them. Yes, he was. Michael Vick was illegally torturing dogs, not for taste pleasure, but for visual pleasure. It was a convenient way for him to hang out with his bros and to bet and make a little bit of money on the side and watch these dogs rip each other apart, among other horrific shit he was doing to them. And it was a tradition he was doing for years before he ended up getting caught. It was completely unnecessary for him to do this, so what is the necessity for you to keep eating animals and supporting these industries if you think murdering animals for pleasure, convenience, and tradition is wrong? The ball's in your court. I hope you choose to do the right thing. I feel the gap has now been filled. All resources and links will be in the description docs down below. Please let me know what you think in the comment sections down below. And if you could please do your boy a favor, make sure to share this video with any friends or family, anyone you know who's on the fence about veganism or following a whole foods plant-based diet, as I think this video should cover the majority of the gaps or any of the questions they may have. You know, I appreciate all of you. Please feel free to hit the like, subscribe, and ding dong button if you haven't already. I'm the Natural Hulkster. I want to thank you for watching, and please stay tuned for the next one.